Hey, everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and I have a very special guest in the corner. Would you like to unveil your secret identity?
Oh, okay, I didn't know if that was going to involve anything bizarre there for a second. I was like,
Well,
unveil what? Me, huh?
uh, you just could just open your coat, flash them a little. They might be okay with that.
I think this isn't video. Hey, everybody, my name is Kara Edwards. I'm a voice actor, producer, actor, photographer, writer. Yeah, pretty much like creative stuff.
You have your hands in all the pies.
I try to. I try to.
Well, now, it's funny actually stalking you on the internet in a nice way.
It's
Uh,
not stalking, it's research.
it's
It's research.
research, yes.
It's
You know,
courting.
looking up all the things you've done, and I know you got your start in radio, but
Good.
how do you find yourself in radio? Like what trigger when you were a toddler was like, yes, I want to be on that speaking box?
Absolutely none whatsoever. Growing up, I always wanted to, well, originally I wanted to be a farmer's wife because I grew up on a farm. And then I got into martial arts and I wanted to do Taekwondo more than anything in the world. I always believed I was going to have a dojo in my little mind. I really believed I was going to go to the Olympics. Would that have happened? I have no idea. Um, Never looked at, I did do acting in high school, starring in plays and stuff, but I really never thought about any of this as a job. I was in a really bad car accident when I was about 18 years old. And it just kind of changed the course of everything. I started teaching. I had to get out of Taekwondo. I could no longer compete. And it honestly, before it sounds like a sob story, was the single best thing that could have ever happened in my life. Because I was literally on the street teaching inline skating classes, and a guy skating by says, "Hey, have you ever thought about radio?" And I literally said, "Not with this Minnie Mouse voice." And he said, "Haha, how funny, it's Radio Disney." And I got hired by Radio Disney. I was actually one of the youngest full-time employees hired by ABC Radio. When I went on Radio Disney, I worked with Kyle Abair. We had a show called The Squeege and Kara Show, which we did for 6 years. And when we started, there was like 4 cities that we broadcast to. I think when I left, it was like 300.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was, I mean, it was just awesome to be a part of something from the very beginning and watch it grow. I had this thing in my brain. I mean, I was so young. I started when I was 18. I probably would have been like 24 at the time. I had this vision in my brain that I really wanted to do. I kept calling it adult radio, which I mean now just sounds dirty.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I wanted to do morning show radio. Like I wanted to be able to, I wanted to be the Robin to Howard Stern. I wanted to experience that. So I moved out to North Carolina and I co-hosted a morning show for 5 years out there. And was really saturated with radio, but I just had this, I had done voiceover all along, and I just had such a passion for it and such a love for it. And radio's tough. I mean, when you're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you've got to be wide awake and chipper by 6 a.m., and you're doing appearances and you're doing this, and it just, boy, it wears you down. And at like 30, I was exhausted. So, I went full. I built a studio and went full-time voiceover.
Well, now I have to wonder because, that wasn't yesterday that you built a studio where a home studio is very, normal, and nowadays everybody seems to have one. Was that more difficult back then? Was it more taxing?
Oh yeah. Nowadays there's so many resources you can go to online, and so many people have home studios that it's incredibly easy to research and say, okay, what kind of microphones am I going to use? What kind of, DAW do I want? What kind of, you can really find out a lot of, how do I set one up in my home? No, I was completely flying blind when I built my first studio. I bought all the wrong equipment.
Oh,
Um,
wonderful.
yeah, I have spent very seriously tens of thousands of dollars getting it wrong to learn how to get it right. And, just tons of it. And I mean, not knowing, I mean, I knew how to do audio production from having been in radio, but, using different software. I knew nothing about microphones. My first microphone was awful. So it was, for me, it was 100% trial and error, and then some really nice people that I reached out to that helped me along the way. Much more difficult back then. And it was such a rarity. It was actually really hard to get work. I had in my brain when I went full time, I was like, I mean, it was if you build it, they will come. And I remember saying, look at my resume. I mean, my ego is like, look at that resume. Everybody's going to hire me. This is going to be amazing. And my first year, I seriously just sat on my butt and did nothing.
Ooh, that must have been kind of tough. I mean, were you second guessing yourself at that point, or?
It was like a weekly meltdown. Like, what have I done? I just gave up this great salary and benefits and everything else to sit at home and think about being a voice actor. But I was really lucky. I did a lot of hard work. I got an amazing voice coach, Nancy Wolfson, who really kind of helped. Not only did she teach me a lot of the current trends in voiceover, she really taught me a lot about the business, and introduced me to a lot of people that made a huge difference in my career. And just little by little, it's been, I mean, my goodness, I think I'm coming up on 7 years.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. And I mean, now this is fully how I support myself and pay the bills. And I literally, I mean, even today, I mean, it just happened today. I'm voicing radio commercials at a studio up in Carrollton because every once in a while I leave my own studio and go somewhere else. And I'm playing this damsel in distress, and we're just literally howling between lines because it's such a hysterical script and the character is so ridiculous. And I actually stopped and looked around. I'm like, I've been doing this for 17 years. I've been talking into a microphone. It still blows my mind that this is what I get to do. It's like playtime for me all the time.
It's like Play-Doh for the mind.
It is. It's so much fun.
Well, now, obviously, we have to ask, how did anime get involved in that whole entire thing? Because most people, it seems like they just get hit in the side of the head with it. And so I'm wondering if it was the same for you.
I totally get to blame Kyle Hebert for everything. He was a really big Dragon Ball Z fan. And I'm going to be completely honest, I had never seen the show. I knew nothing about it. To be really, really brutally honest, I used to make fun of him, like, a lot. And I don't anymore.
You're such a big nerd.
I was like, what? You're watching what? You like cartoons. Oh, yeah. I mean, hello. And now I get it on so many levels. But he read in the newspaper that there was an open call audition in Fort Worth to do voices for the company that did Dragon Ball Z. And he's like, you have to go with me. You have to go with me. He actually kind of dared me to go. And I think the first character, well, I went in and I remember the very first character, they hired me for a very minor character that was in one of the Dragon Ball movies, I think. And it was a character named Lime. And very small part, but then they immediately called me back for another audition, and it was for two characters. And I'll never forget when the very first one popped on screen, it was Videl. And if you've ever seen me, and especially back then, we kind of resemble each other a little bit. I've got blue eyes, I've got brown hair, I wear it in pigtails all the time. She and I are alike in personality a little bit, and so this character pops on screen. I thought it was, well, I guess that's actually me. And the other character they had me audition for was Goten, and somehow I got cast as both characters. Kyle gets cast as Gohan, and we were literally Squeege and Kara on the radio. Then with Dragon Ball Z, we were Gohan, Goten, and Videl. So I was his brother and his girlfriend and his partner on the radio.
That could turn into a sitcom one day.
I know. Our lives were so intertwined that when I quit Radio Disney, I resigned, and because I wanted to go pursue morning show radio, and I would seriously call him every single day because we had spent like 60 hours a week together for years and years and years. And I would call him. I made the poor guy my girlfriend. Like, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? So I met this boy. Yeah, no, it was awful.
Painting each other's like toenails.
Yes, it was awful. I can't believe I did that to him. He rarely ever talks to me now. I think he just got bored with me. He's like, I just need. No, I'm kidding. We love each other.
We're gonna have some of the listeners now. They're gonna go bug Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle, call Kara and ask her how she's doing. Paint her toenails.
And also bring some ice cream. She has the munchies.
Exactly. Always. Such a chick.
Well, now, Dragon Ball, obviously, huge thing, still to this day. Like, does that ever feel like I don't know, getting hit with like a plane? Is it one of those amazing things that you're like, I expected this, or like, whoa, what happened?
You know, I in the very beginning, they had given us some like Dragon Ball Z posters, and they had been signed by everybody in the cast and everybody on the show. And I ended up giving them to my mom for some reason, and or maybe I kept some, and I think I gave some to her. And I remember she was like, "What do I do with these?" And I said, "Well, at some point, some of your customers may want these." And she's like, okay, whatever. I'll never forget. It was about a year after that she called me and she's like, did you know you're doing something that's a big deal? Yes, I've been telling you that for a year. No, I knew Dragon Ball Z was a big deal. Like I knew it was such an honor to be a part of it. I had no clue that all these years later, I would still be talking about Dragon Ball Z the way I do. I was at my pool yesterday in my apartment, hanging out at the pool, and I'm not kidding, 4 people asked me to come up and do the voice.
Does that get a little bit like, just a little bit daunting? It's like, oh God, can you ask me to do something else maybe? Just a little?
I will. It's very rare. It's very because I love doing it, and I'm so flattered that people care. And I mean, it will never get old to me. It will never be something I take for granted. And I mean, I get it. I get how cool it is. And so I don't ever want for a second to be like, oh, really? I have to do the voice. But sometimes if I've been working a lot, especially Goten's voice is very painful for me. And so I'll be like, can I do anything else? You want to hear Videl? Because it's basically my own voice. I'll do anything Videl, but I don't want to do Goten. But I just have a couple of lines that I'll just do every time, and it never gets old. Like I said, it's when I'm hanging out in downtown and chefs of restaurants are sending out like extra dishes because they're really big fans of Dragon Ball Z. That blows my mind. That's never gonna get old.
Well, that's nice for your body too. Yeah,
Exactly.
extra 10 pounds. Awesome.
Exactly. Which is I moved downtown like 2 months ago. I've seriously put on 10 pounds. I love it.
Well, do a little bit of push-ups.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, trainer. Time to get to work.
Well, I would think that the screaming would take a lot of out of you too.
It does. Super Saiyan 3 is my least favorite thing on the planet. It's extremely difficult. The video games where you're just doing scream after scream after scream after scream. It does get daunting. Nowadays, it is nothing. Okay, voicing anime today, and anybody whose voices anime today that didn't when I began is going to be like, that horrible person, I can't believe she just said that. It's so much easier today than it was when we began Dragon Ball Z, because now there's technology where you have these. It's called time compression expansion, where you can take a file and you can actually make it longer. You can make it shorter. You can adjust things, and because it's a digital world, you can fast forward through the anime in this incredibly rapid succession. Where I mean, it's literally taking a tenth of the amount of time that it used to take us to do Dragon Ball Z. And then back then it was all on videotape. And for every line you had to rewind and then watch it and then rewind. And it was this lengthy process. So if you, and it had to be exact. And so those screams were, ooh, it was so difficult because there was no helping you. Nowadays, it's like you usually do one take. We could sometimes do 20, 30 takes.
That's insane. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, in fact, I know for a fact that Goten especially has changed my voice. I can hear stuff prior to doing Dragon Ball Z, and I mean, granted, some of that's just because women's voices change throughout their lives, but the amount of, and we were so dumb back then. We had no idea what we were doing. We didn't do vocal warm-ups. We didn't take care of ourselves. I literally remember taking those little plastic things of lemon juice, when I had a sore throat, and squirting it in my throat to help me keep the gravel for Goten.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
like, people seem to get in a tizzy fit when you have soda.
I know. Like, I wouldn't do that now for anything in the world. It worked, and so it made sense back then. We were young. We had no idea what we were doing.
Well, for all the wannabe voice actors out there who want to take notes, because I know you have a long list now, I think this is the perfect time for us to take a break. So don't go anywhere. Keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't. Thank you, computer, for unfreezing. Love technology, don't you?
I do.
Well, that actually brings up a rather curious question since you do a lot of home studio stuff. Have you ever been in the middle of something and just it's frozen or something hasn't saved or it's gone corrupt?
Oh yeah, oh yes. I have experienced, I'm pretty sure, every major catastrophe that you can experience, like having recorded an entire session with the client on the phone and then realize you have none of it. Fortunately, I think that's only happened once, and it was a long time ago. That doesn't happen very often anymore. But if I've learned anything about, because I mean, I do, you really get to know your studio so well, and I'm kind of stupid protective over it. Like, I won't let other people come in and mess with stuff. Um, I have no problem recording. My friends use my studio all the time, and people can rent my studio. At this point, I just don't even panic. I mean, even in the worst case scenarios, my most recent move, I turned everything on and absolutely nothing worked. So I just went to another studio for the day. It wasn't a problem. And I called an engineer in LA. He was on the phone. George Whittam was on the phone with me in a heartbeat, and we had it all figured out. So I just don't even panic anymore. It's funny.
Well, if it makes you feel better, we've actually had occurrences, especially in our first year. We have like 3 interviews that we've lost, just
Oh,
not existent anymore in archive format. They were live, but just didn't get recorded.
oh, that's so painful when you lose stuff. Like I would kill. I actually have a box of all the old. I have a ton of Radio Disney cassette tapes, and I've got all the old VHS of Dragon Ball Z, and I've got all this old media, and I don't even know what to do with it. I love to have that. I don't want to lose, but over time you lose so much stuff, and it's like, gosh, I would love to hear that again.
Can I make you feel totally old?
Oh yeah, no, I usually do every day anyway. But
Okay.
no, actually, I feel so young. Yes, but make me feel old.
The only cassette I own is Vanilla Ice's.
Okay, I can actually make myself even older because I actually have a box of reel to reel. When we used to have to splice and tape stuff together. One of my oldest feeling moments ever was at a convention, and I was on a panel with several people, and I honestly had just met them. I didn't know who they were, and this just beautiful girl sitting at the end who's so adorable and clearly very talented says, "Well, Kara used to direct me." And I'm like, huh? And I'm looking at her, I'm like, I don't even know who you are. And all of a sudden it hits me, Cherami Leigh. And I'm like, I was your director at Radio Disney. She was one of the little kids that would come in and record promos.
Oh, that is so cute.
Yeah, and I'm sitting on a panel with her, and she's so freakishly talented and awesome. And I'm sitting on this panel, and I'm like, wow, that aged me. I'll take it. It just means I've done a lot of stuff in my life.
Well, since you mentioned conventions, do you have any that are coming up for this year? Anything you have scheduled in 2013?
I do. I actually have one coming up, I think on the 10th, that weekend in August, not this weekend, but the one after. I'm going to be at San Japan in San Antonio. I don't get to do as many conventions as I'd like to just because of my schedule, but I do have some really exciting conventions that I can't mention yet because they haven't been finalized, but some coming up in 2013. I'm pretty sure my mom is going to be going to her first anime convention next year, just because she found out the location of one of them and is like, I'm following you.
You should totally get her cat ears.
Oh my gosh, I'm totally going to make her cosplay. She's going to be like, what?
She might hate you for it, but oh, the memories.
I know, I'm going to make her go as Videl.
That'd be great. We need pictures.
Oh, it's so, trust me.
Well, for the fans out there that want to keep updated on the conventions that you have coming up that you can't announce yet, where can they do that on the internet? Do you Facebook? Do you Twitter?
I do. I'm on Facebook, and you can just find me, Kara Edwards. I have a fan page, but I also have a regular page, and I tend to friend most people, just because I always have. I have a Twitter, Kara Edwards, I think is what which I'm Kara Edwards. And that's all it is. It may be Kara Edwards VO. My website is karaedwardsvo.com, like voiceover, but I'm debuting a new website within the next week, and it will just be karaedwards.com at that point.
Awesome. Will it be B-less? That's the
It's
important
going to
question.
be completely B-less, and no offense to the B, you've been fantastic. Yeah, I wanted to go a totally different direction with the website. I wanted it to be very me. I've never fully connected to my current stuff, and I wanted branding that was just very, very me, very young, fun, with a little bit of attitude. So the new website, I'm so excited about it. It's been in the works for a year, which is pathetic and completely my own fault because I get easily distracted. But I think in the next week it's going to be available.
Awesome. Well, we'll look out for it and make sure to let us know when it's launched. That way we can Twitter and Facebook about it.
Thank you. I will. It's going to have a lot of video stuff on it and pictures, and yeah, it's going to be way more interactive.
Awesome. I think the fans will really enjoy that.
Thank you. I hope so.
Now, concerning any other projects that you're working on or anything that, you're able to talk about and you don't have a sniper rifle outside your window.
Right? Which I always get scared because I'm like, what have I done? I had to, as you mentioned that, you're like, we should talk about work you've done. And I immediately Google Kara Edwards anime because I don't even remember what I've done, which is so lame. Yeah, and I have to seriously read from my list. I'm trying to find the stuff that Heaven's Lost Property recently came out. I voiced Nymph in Heaven's Lost Property, one of my favorite characters. What do I have? Actually, there's a bunch of stuff here that I didn't even remember doing. Chaos Head was recently released. I voiced Kozue, Mina in Darker Than Black. There's Patty Baldwin in The Sacred Blacksmith. That's a little bit older. I did some minor stuff in Summer Wars. A lot of I'm currently working on some stuff that I'm really excited about. I also I voice a lot of shows, but I actually do it under a different name just because of other stuff that I do that I'm very careful of. So there's projects that I've been a part of. There's main characters I have played that I am extremely proud of, and unfortunately, I can't mention them. However, somebody's figured out who I am, and they're pretty much all listed. They're pretty easy to find if you Google my name. They're all starting to pop up now, so not many secrets left.
Uh-oh. Well, hopefully it doesn't get you in trouble.
It won't get me in any. No, there's nothing. There's nothing I've done that's in any way a bad, or I'm very, very cautious about stuff like that. But yeah. So, but it's work I'm very proud of. So I'm kind of excited people figured it out.
Well, I'm glad that the fans have honed their stalking skills to make sure that all of your dirty laundry is out there on the internet.
Yeah, seriously, this stuff is woo. Yeah, the outside. I am working on stuff right now with Funimation here. Everyone will know. Outside of that, I voiced a show on PBS called Rags that was on hiatus for a little while, and very excited. It looks like that may be coming back. I do a lot of commercial work. I'm the voice of Thomasville Furniture. I just recently did stuff for T-Mobile, Samsung. I'm trying to think of other Sports Illustrated. Yeah, my brain is totally going blank right now.
The hamster's going.
Yeah, I know. I seriously would probably have to where are my invoices? What work have I done recently? Coming out very soon is a game that I did with The Walking Dead. That there's a million games for Walking Dead. This one's through Jax. It's really cool. It's one of those that hooks directly into your TV, and I voice many of the zombies in that game. I had to watch the show to research the role, and am now the single biggest Walking Dead fan on the planet.
Well, to clarify this, is this the Telltale game or is this something different?
Yeah. See, I'm so bad. I show up and do the work and never know what I'm doing. I think it's something. It's like an individual sort of game. I know. I saw it online recently. But it's not out yet. I think it's coming out this fall.
Okay.
But they were announcing it. So it's another one of those really cool Walking Dead games.
Okay, the reason I ask is because the Telltale one for PSN and I believe Xbox recently became free on PlayStation. So I was
Oh,
wondering if it was that one or if there's another one in the works and it just flew over my radar.
I think there's another one in the works.
Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like the one I did.
Okay.
But
Good to
yeah,
know.
actually, and I do a lot of like Nintendo DS games, especially the preschool games. So you hear me a lot on those. And the thing I'm one of the things I'm the most proud of that I have been a part of for 5 years is I'm actually the voice of Highlights Magazine, Highlights for Kids. So you can get audio versions of their preschool magazine, which is Highlights High Five, and you can also get audio versions of the feature Ask Arizona from their main magazine off of their website, Highlights for Kids. And I am so proud of the work I get to do with them for that. They're by far, I mean, I love Highlights.
Well, I remember when I was a kid and we would get the magazines in for that, in middle school. So,
I know, like you remember like the Timber Toes and Hidden Pictures,
mhm.
and yeah, I get to be a part of all that, and it's, I mean, I'm so honored and proud of that.
That is really cool. Like, I love things that kind of give you a nostalgia kick, and,
Yes,
and you're like, oh, I get to be a part of this? Sweet.
yes, and I'm so lucky in my career that I get to do that a lot, where stuff comes up, and I'm like, this was my childhood. This is what I got to do, and now I'm actually, wow, like yeah, it's so much fun, mind blown.
Definitely. And now, since we're nearing the end of this interview, I have a little tradition we do here on 91.8 The Fan that I'm asking you if you'd be willing to participate.
Hey, I'm a daredevil. I'll do anything.
Awesome. Well, just so you know, we don't make you say anything really scary. Uh, Basically, we ask if you'd be willing to do a radio bump for us. The trick of it, however, is that we do the takes live on air.
I can totally do that.
Yes!
Man, I haven't done one of these seriously in 7 years.
Well, then it'll be good practice.
Yeah, seriously, I'm gonna be like, it's what, huh?
Basically, we ask if you'd be willing to say, hello, my name is, you insert your name. I do this. You can mention characters you've done. You can say that you're a voice actor, whatever you want to put there. And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
I can hang with that.
All right, so whenever you're ready, we're all set.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, what's going on? My name is Kara Edwards. You probably know me best as the voices of Videl and Goten off of Dragon Ball Z. Some other shows, Heaven's Lost Property, Salty Ray. I don't know. There's a list on the internet somewhere because I forget. And I do a whole bunch of commercial stuff. So you hear me a lot on radio and TV and on PBS and on the internet and on your iPad and pretty much everywhere that you can find me. Anyway, super happy to be here. And you guys are totally tuned in to 91.8 The Fan.
See, that wasn't so hard. I think you're a
No.
pro.
It's almost like I did it for like 12 years.
I know, right?
And yet I still am like, I'm Kara Edwards. I have no idea what it is I do for a living, but there's something on the internet, and that'll help us all figure it out.
Well, if it makes you feel better, lately I've been trying to do a count of people who need like takes and then people who don't. And it seems like the vast majority of the people we've had on usually need a second take.
Oh, really?
Yes. So there's kind of a really obvious split. Like I'd say about a 70-30.
That's hilarious. Did Kyle have to do too?
Oh, I'm trying to. Technically, he did because he said 918 The Fan. He forgot the point.
That's awesome. See, I wrote it down.
Oh, so does everybody else. You're not alone.
If it's not written down, it's not going to happen.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there? Any words of wisdom? Anything that you want to tell them? Maybe you're having a garage sale. I don't know.
Yeah, come on by Studio 1313. We'll have equipment for you. Who wants a mic? No, just thank you. I mean, if it weren't for the fans, my life would not be nearly as cool as it is, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like it, for everyone that comes up and asks us to do a voice, or that goes out and purchases a DVD or Blu-ray. Seriously, thank you, because I love this job. It is everything to me. And I just think it's really cool that people care about something really ridiculous that I get to do on a daily basis. So thank you. And Jackie, you guys are awesome.
Well, thank you. I think you're awesome because you were a great guest to have on the show.
Thank you. I know, and it took, I think, it took us what, like a year to finally line this up. So
Chris is persistent. He's very persistent.
Yes, Chris has been and I'm so glad that he has been, because I'm glad that we were able to finally meet up and work it out.
Definitely. And for all the listeners out there that are curious, hey, maybe you missed the beginning, shame on you. But if you wanna listen to the beginning, you can find it on the website within the next few days. So keep your eyes peeled to 918thefan.com and your ears tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't. Coming up next is Exile with Each Other's Way.